Here we go. Everybody's coming in from the lobby. There we go. I think that is everybody in. Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name's Sophie Highwood, and I am one of the key partnership managers here at Lime. Today, we're going to be having a webinar about beautiful Costa Rica, which seems kind of fitting considering the weather here is so diabolical. So we're going to jump right in. There's my introduction slide. I'm sure you're very used to that by now. And I am also joined this morning by Keith, who is our UK Leisure Sales Manager from British Airways. Keith is going to discuss the British Airways elements of this webinar. And then we do have a guest from For Agency, Sam, who will be introducing us to Costa Rica as a destination as well. So welcome both, and I will jump right into Keith's first slide.
Thank you very much. Welcome, everybody. Great to see so many people on the webinar. So I'm just going to talk you through the British Airways proposition to get you to the wonderful destination of Costa Rica. As you can see there, you've got the flying times. We've depart from Gatwick. That's 3 times a week. That's a Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. Approximately 11 hours, as you can see on the screen. It's a seasonal service. So currently we service through what would be our winter season. So flying stops around about the end of March. If we flick to the next slide, so I'm just going to talk you through the cabins that you can potentially experience on your way to Costa Rica. So it's a free cabin config. We've got World Traveller, World Traveller Plus, and our Club World business product. So just going back to the first slide. So we got World Traveller, which essentially is our economy cabin. Now all aircraft have got Wi-Fi on board. By signing up to the exec club, as soon as you're in the first card, which is blue, you get free messaging, so free WhatsApp and stuff, so you can stay connected. So it's always worth urging your customers to sign up to the exec club. Economy, so you get 1 times 23 kilo check baggage, complimentary food and drink on board. You've got a huge library of music, film, audio, and we've also got Paramount on board to keep you fully entertained during that 11 hours. Our next cabin, World Traveller Plus, which is our cabin that links between World Traveller and Club. Much smaller cabin, much wider seat, greater recline. As I say, a separate smaller cabin. Height and meal experience. So you'll expect 2 of our meals from our business class cabin. So a really heightened meal experience, full complimentary bar. As you take off, you'll get a glass of Prosecco to start your trip. You get an amenity kit, 2 times 23 kilos of checked baggage, just in case you're going to Costa Rica for a couple of weeks to fully explore, and priority boarding at the gate before boarding. That's our premium economy proposition, and then we're into our business class cabin. So Club World, everything you'd expect from a business class cabin. Basically, imagine your favorite armchair, bed, dining table, office, all in one, and you control the bed. So you don't need the crew to lay the bed down for you. Push of a button, you can go into a fully flat 6-foot bed. Dedicated check-in and fast track priority boarding. As I say, a 6-foot bed, all the delicious food and drink that you would expect from the business class cabin, luxury bedding, an amenity kit, a heightened experience. So what you'd also get there is, oh, sorry, my screen has just frozen. Access to our lounges, which I'll touch on in a moment. On an 11-hour flight, you'll get a 3-course meal option. All your food and bar is complimentary, of course, and a huge selection of wine. There's champagne on board, everything that you'd expect from our business class product. If we move on to our lounges, so as you can see there, Gatwick's got a South Terminal lounge. This was a huge investment a few years back. It is an amazing lounge. So if you're flying in business class or you're a silver and gold card holder, you can access this lounge. And everything you see there on the screen, I won't go through everything that you can all already read on the screen. But what the lounge does have is It's kind of segmented in different areas. There's an upstairs, so you can get away from the hustle and bustle. There's a kind of like office area that you can work, do your emails, stay connected to your family, or just a really nice lounge area where you can enjoy a glass of wine, champagne, and fully relax before you get on board. Then moving to our next lounge. So this is our first lounge. Costa Rica doesn't actually have a first class product on it. However, if you are a gold card holder, you can access our first lounge. And again, it's just that next tier up from our business class lounge. Um, a bit more luxurious, much more one-on-one service from our staff in the lounge. And again, heightened wine experience, the champagne, everything else that you'd want to uh, get you off onto an amazing trip to Costa Rica.
It's great. Thank you so much, Keith. And British Airways, I think, is the perfect introduction to Costa Rica, isn't it?
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Moving on, we have Sam joining us from Four Agency, who represent Essential Costa Rica. So she's going to tell us a little bit more about this beautiful destination.
Hello, thank you everyone for coming today and for the lovely introduction. So you can see if you fly by BA to Gatwick, from Gatwick to Costa Rica, you have an excellent experience. So thank you for that. To start, we got just a kind of general introduction to Costa Rica. I'm not sure what your level of expertise might be. Maybe you've sold it, maybe you've already been before yourself. So we're just kind of going to do a general introduction. So yes, to start, the next slide, please. This is just a bit of intro in terms of if you've got people going for the first time, how they get there, currency, etc. Something I'd like to note on this slide in particular is that when you're in Costa Rica, they have two currencies, and if you go into a shop, for instance, they always have two prices for everything. So they have their in-destination currency called Costa Rican colones, but everything can also be bought with US dollars. So if you've got customers going, I always recommend like a Monzo card, something like that, which has multiple currencies, but also taking some cash because you might go to maybe some more local markets or maybe tipping a guide, etc. And US dollars are accepted everywhere. So that's very useful to know. Languages, yes, Spanish is the main language of Costa Rica, but English is spoken very widely as well. So we like to say Costa Rica is a very good introduction to Latin America and Central America specifically. Maybe you've got customers who haven't been to that part of the world before or a bit hesitant to test it out. Costa Rica is a great first location as an introduction because it has just a few less barriers to entry, we find. One, in terms of safety. It's one of the safest countries in Latin America, and two, because fun fact about Costa Rica, it is completely compulsory and free for all children to be in education. And so with that becomes a lot higher level of literacy and education levels generally. So a lot more people, it's just a lot easier to converse. So a lot of people do actually speak at least some level of English or understanding. So it's yeah, it's really good welcome. And also the people of Costa Rica are so welcoming. You probably heard of the Pura Vida lifestyle. You might have seen some of our advertising around recently, but Pura Vida is what encompasses Costa Rica. And it's literally means pure life. And they swear by it over there. It means like could be a greeting, could be a goodbye, could be a well wishes, whatever it is. I'll say it at the end of a sentence, and it is just pure vida. It's amazing. Um, yes, one thing I also say that we are a tropical country, so you might know, for instance, we'll have our dry season and our wet season, but we call it the green season, very tactically there. So our wet season might be, it is characterized by higher levels of rain, but this might be more around early afternoon. You might have some like warm showers, might have a storm overnight, that kind of thing. But so if you've got people who are maybe looking for something a bit better value for money. Green season, for instance, will have slightly lower rates, also have lower number of people going. So that could be a good time for customers to go. And that is the lower season is from about April to October. And then our peak season is November to March, depending on when Easter falls. Next slide, please. Yes, connectivity, we've already gone over that. So Yes, so our direct flight is currently seasonally, as you can see from the seasons I mentioned. And yes, it takes about 11 hours. So one thing I like to note from this slide is that Costa Rica, because it does take a while to get there, it's a long haul destination. We tend to recommend no less than 10 days for a trip. Usually that 12 to 14 days, 2 weeks is like a prime length of time to see a lot of the country. Obviously, it is a whole country though. You could spend months exploring the whole place, but 2 weeks as an introduction is a good. So, some reasons to go. I'm sure a lot of you, when you think of Costa Rica, you think of wildlife, and you can see on the next slide, we, as a destination or as a country, about 30% of all of our landmass is protected, be it national parks, wildlife biological reserves, also marine reserves. But this is actually quite an interesting statistic. Costa Rica is home to 6.5% of the world's biodiversity, and that might not mean anything out of context, but is a huge proportion given our land mass. And so it's something Costa Rica and the people were all very, very proud of. That has been huge effort to preserve and regenerate actually over the last like 30, 40 years. And so that's definitely one of our biggest draws is the wildlife and nature. And then we can go on to some of the animals you might see there. Sloths, very iconic. I'm sure a lot of you like when people go, they always want to see a sloth, and it's definitely possible. One thing that's absolutely brilliant about Costa Rica is that when you go, you don't have to go like trudging so far into the wilderness to see the wildlife. A lot of it is actually very accessible. So you can see lots of different two sloths, sorry, the two-toed and the three-toed species. Lots of different species of monkeys as well. You might recognize this, the white-faced capuchin. You see howler monkeys. You can see different turtles as well and whales. I think the main thing to note from these slides is that you might there's a good chance to see lots of different species, but you might have customers who, I don't know if you guys are finding this, a lot people tend to be booking a lot more these days are based around experiential holidays. So they might go for a certain event, a certain experience, whatever it might be. So you might have customers who are really into their wildlife and they really want to see humpback whale migration, or they really want to see the olive ridley turtles nesting, whatever it might be. It's definitely worth noting that there are certain times a year or certain locations, because obviously we have both coasts, we have the Pacific and the Caribbean, and there's different locations that are better for different wildlife. So like I was in Costa Rica this September just gone, and I was beyond lucky to see the olive ridley turtle nesting on the Pacific coast. But then, for instance, I can show you a map. It comes up in a couple of slides. But then on the Caribbean coast is a really amazing place to see the leatherback and the green turtles, for instance. So it's just keeping that in mind. And then, yes, I feel like toucans, scarlet macaws, these are iconic birds of Costa Rica. They can be seen in lots of different places. One place we always kind of highlight is the Monteverde La Fortuna region, which I'll point out on the map as well. But anywhere where it's green or just the towns, like these birds are going to be they're going to be around. You've a very, very good chance to see them essentially. But then again, point out there is obviously a slightly better time to see them. But one thing I will also say is that I mentioned before about the green season and the dry season. Green season as well, we also call it that because when there is more rain, the forests do come alive more. So this is what we say, green, it's more luscious. So there usually is better wildlife viewing opportunities as well during that time of the year. So sustainable destination. Yes, this is definitely one of the biggest draws we find for Costa Rica. Even if it's not necessarily a reason people go, it's one of those nice to haves, and people enjoy knowing that they're going to a place that cares so much about their own country and sustainability. I think the main thing to kind of note here is if we go to next, actually, kind of just want to show the next slide actually after this. It's called the CST Sustainable Tourism Certification. This is probably the most useful bit of information for you guys when booking. On our website, the Costa Rica Tourism Board, which is visitcostarica.com, we have a whole page dedicated to different hotels which we recommend, and we can only promote those which have this CST certification. And so what this means is that these hotels have gone through a rigorous scheme to show that they meet this criteria. So that'd be various things from having renewable energy sources, maybe growing their own food on land, on their own plot, giving back to the local community, working volunteering, things like this, various things that show that they care about their country and their region and giving back. So on our website, when you look at that, you can then filter by, I think there's two levels of CST certification. And then within that, you also can filter by 5-star, 4-star, 3-star accommodation, and then also by region. So you might have a very specific request from a customer to say, I really want a 4-star on the Pacific coast. And then you can be there like, right, I can filter by North Pacific, Central or South, 4-star, and then it can show you this. So yeah, very useful for booking hotels. And then what's next? Just in terms of the sustainability journey, currently already 90% of our energy does come from renewable resources. So I think that's something we're very proud of and want to be the first carbon neutral country in the world. And we're well on our way to that. As agents, something you can good to know about is something called the Pura Vida Pledge. And that is something you can learn more about on our website as well. But it's just something we can dedicate to being more sustainable as well. So it's booking with those operators which have the CST, maybe getting your customers involved with volunteering projects, things like that. There are ways that you can, and there's even a website that you can look it up, the Pure Vida Pledge, and there's ways to also, if the customers want to, offset their carbon, because obviously we know flying can maybe make people a bit more carbon aware. So it's a good option and something to educate them about if they're that way inclined. So yeah, we are a super unique destination. Something about Costa Rica is that we do have 7 distinct different climatic regions. So even though I did mention we've got the dry season and the wet season, even within that, there are still 7 regions, each with their own microclimate. So for instance, in the more green season, the Caribbean coast is still quite dry. So it's like interesting to know that you can still make the holiday what you want depending on what kind of weather you're looking for. Or you might have customers who are really into their adventure and thrill seeking. They might want higher rains because they want more extreme whitewater rafting rapids, for instance, like certain examples like that. Or you might have the people who are just like, I'm really in the mood for just chill, good weather and beaches, and you can definitely get that as well. So on this map, it can just kind of show you a bit of the regions. You see, so the Pacific coast, we kind of split it up into 3. You've got the bit at the top, that's the Guanacaste region. That it tends to be the area where that is a very popular region, especially with Americans coming over for like their spring break or it's like their winter sun destination as well. And then that bit that tails off, that is something called the Nicoya Peninsula. I'm not sure if you guys have maybe heard of blue zones, for instance. There are only 5 in the world, and this is one of them. A blue zone, for those who don't know, is a region where people have typically longer lifespan than average. They get to usually around 100 or plus years old. And this is due to very happy, healthy lifestyles, which kind of leads into the whole Pura Vida lifestyle. Everyone's so happy. They've also, along with their high education rates, they've also got free, if not affordable, healthcare for all. And that, yeah, obviously goes a long way with the happy, healthy lifestyle. I was actually in the Nicoya Peninsula back in September when I was there, and it was just incredible seeing everyone walking around, and you do see that people are older and everyone is so yeah, just ridiculously happy and love to see you and they love to talk to you. It's a very welcoming country. Yeah, so there, so there's some type of just a few of the examples of places you might want to go. We find people who tend to go for the first time. There is a kind of golden triangle that people follow, and one of these locations is on the Caribbean coast into a place called Tortuguero National Park, which is, it feels like you're in the absolute wilderness. It's incredible. It's the rainforest right by the coast. You can see this image in the middle. It looks really wild. When I was there, for instance, we went on a kayaking trip down this river in the middle of this forest, and you got like caimans swimming past. You got all the bird life flying over you. You got like this little lizard that's called the Jesus lizard or something because it can literally run on water. It's the most incredible thing. And yeah, Tortuguero is definitely a jewel of Costa Rica. One thing I will note with that though, people love to go there, but you can't drive there per se. There are two ports that you can drive as far to, and then it's about an hour or an hour and a half boat to actually get to like Tortuguero village and then the various hotels. Alternatively, which is what I recommend if people have the budget for, is doing a little domestic flight. They've got a few different companies that do that. One's called Sansa, for instance, and you can actually do from San Jose to Tortuguero. It's only about 30 minutes, and you can get your family or couple, whoever it is, who's going into a 5 or 6 seater propeller airplane, see Costa Rica from the air, and then land right on this little domestic landing strip, and then you're in the middle of the jungle, and it's amazing. But that's a really good place as well to do some volunteering if you've got customers who want to do some volunteerism. Um, Turtles, there's a huge infrastructure set up there for volunteering and looking after turtles. So yeah. And then the next kind of region we find a lot of people go to, Central Valley, Northern Pacific. This is, you might have seen, you can literally see it in my image as well, the volcano. This is Arenal volcano. This is iconic for Costa Rica, and volcanoes are very iconic for Costa Rica anyway. But this one in particular, um, lots of people love to go there. If you do, you tend to stay in around a town called La Fortuna, where there are lots of different hotels, and this is also incredible place for sort of wellness stay. So yes, I mentioned people go for wildlife, people might go for adventure. Wellness is also a massive draw. And in this region, you have all these hotels and these hot springs that are fed by natural thermal water. So it's the most amazing and like restorative experience. Like you might be in your hotel, you might have gone out to experience a bit of the maybe going for a little hike or something in the morning, and then you come back, relax in hot pools in the afternoon, and it's something I recommend for everyone. And this La Fortuna and Arenal, this is also in the Monteverde region, which you can see there's some zip lining. Again, something people love to do when they go there. Uh, Quite a few different companies have zip lines throughout the Monteverde cloud forests. Something I also know that Brits love to do generally is hiking in the cloud forest as well. You might have seen those images of like the swing bridges that are through like the very misty tree canopies. This is an incredible location to do that as well. And then next side, Pacific Coast. So this is just that was up in like the central middle, well, north middle bit, and then you come down the coast, and this is an incredible place to for beaches. Definitely the Pacific coast, especially the central and the Punta Arenas region, where you might see heard of a national park, for instance, called Manuel Antonio National Park. That is a really big draw. That's also one of the stops on the classic Golden Triangle route that lots of people like to go on. But yes, generally everywhere in Costa Rica, you have to try some of the local food while you're there. They are very proud of it. Like in the mornings, you'll have the most incredible, like buffet style, and you'll have things like your gallo pinto. This might seem a bit weird, but gallo pinto is rice and beans, and that's something they absolutely love. And it's amazing no matter the time of day. Honestly, I highly, highly recommend. Then you might have plantain, like those banana looking things, and fried plantain, very sweet, very gorgeous. Another classic dish is ceviche. There being such a coastal country, you have a lot of fresh seafood, and ceviche is I'm not one who used to be into seafood, but ever since going to Costa Rica, I'm now obsessed. Um, and another type of dish is chicken with rice, arroz con pollo in Spanish. And yes, there you have to definitely try some of the local cuisine. A lot of the hotels will still have cuisine for tourists, so you might find more maybe like your classic maybe avocado on toast, as well as maybe your more English breakfast style. But I highly, highly recommend delving deep into the culture and trying their local dishes while you're there. And then a few off the beaten track. I mentioned about the Nicoya Peninsula, the Blue Zone. Highly, highly recommend. Maybe it's a place people will go if they're really looking to take off maybe blue zones in the world, or maybe it's your second time goers who are looking for more of the off the beaten tracks places. Something that's really cool, the Los Quetzals National Park. Quetzal, the bird there on the right, that's a very colourful bird. It's not our national bird, but it's something that people associate highly with Costa Rica. And they actually can be quite difficult to see. So if you've got maybe people who are really into their birding and their wildlife watching, they might want to plan around specific locations such as that national park. And then some adventure examples. So I already mentioned that hiking and some zip lining, but we obviously have a lot of water-based activities as well. Got whitewater rafting, scuba diving. There's some incredible coastal locations for diving as well. Down on the South Pacific, there's the peninsula that comes off called Corcovado National Park, for instance, which is one of the best places for wildlife as well. It's very quite an untouched area, but just off there, for instance, there's some incredible diving to do in Canyo Island. So yeah, and you can do lots of surfing, kayaking. I highly recommend a lot of these different experiences. I'm quite the adrenaline junkie myself, so try and do them all whenever I can. Um, so just to kind of round off with the last few reasons to go. I mentioned about the Pura Vida lifestyle, happy, healthy, friendly people. Actually, yeah, one of the happiest countries in the world from the Happy Planet Index. So I think that really just further articulates Costa Rica as being such a welcoming and warm country. And then I mentioned about it being such an educated country. Just a tiny bit of backstory to that. In 1949, the Costa Rica army was completely abolished. And so they're very proud of this fact because all money that used to be filtered into that was redirected into education, the healthcare, tourism, and infrastructure. So yes, they really they high these regard this stuff very highly, and you can just kind of see that in their every way of life in Costa Rica. And then just to round off, yes, we do have a high and a lower season, but it is very much still a year-round destination, depending on what people want to go for. So we said different microclimates. We have mild temperatures year-round, even though you do have seasonally wet times of the year. It's not like what we get here. It's still warm rain. So you might be, for instance, gone out in the morning, come back, gone somewhere for lunch maybe, come back to your hotel to relax in the afternoon. There might be some showers then, but it's still warm and it will go quite quickly. And then you've got there again the whole evening, late afternoon, evening to explore. So it shouldn't hinder too much. But I love it personally. When I was there in September, we got caught in this incredible storm and I found it absolutely exhilarating. Um, Something about being outside in warm rain you just don't experience in the UK. It's quite a fun experience, I find. Yeah, so that is basically a roundup. And one thing I would like to point out at the end is that we do have our own training platform, visit costarica.expert. This has all been recently revamped this year, and it's got 5 different training modules, a bit of an introduction to the regions, things to do. Yes, and I highly recommend checking that out. There as well, you can learn a bit about the Pura Vida pledge I mentioned, can meet the team. So that has got myself and a couple of other people I work with at FOR. So you can get our contact details from there if you would like. And I would just love to thank you all so much for coming on. Sorry if I spoke a bit fast or too much at you, but I appreciate you all taking the time to learn about Costa Rica.
Thank you so much, Sam. What an absolutely breathtaking destination. Do you know, I learned so much actually as well. I didn't know that it was a blue zone. I did watch a program on Netflix about blue zones last year, but I obviously didn't complete all the episodes. But that's so interesting that Costa Rica is one of those. And I think everybody else will join me in thanks to you for such an in-depth presentation. There's obviously a huge amount of things to see and do and Costa Rica seems
Yes.
like a really special destination. I'm very envious of anybody that's been. We actually have an opportunity for some of our clients to join us in Costa Rica. So you can, if you secure your British Airways flights from London to Juan Santa Maria International Airport in Costa Rica between the 18th of November, so this is an active incentive that we've got running currently, until the 30th of December, you can be in with a chance of winning a place on an unforgettable 7-night fam trip to Costa Rica with Lime and British Airways, as well as Essential Costa Rica. So yeah, we are so excited to be able to put a fam trip onto this destination. We do also have, in true Lime style, we have a quiz for you. So George is going to post the quiz link into the chat. You have until 5 p.m. tomorrow to complete the quiz. Here it is, the link is in there. We'll be quizzing you on all the things that Sam has been discussing during the webinar. So there is a chance to win one of 4 £100 vouchers of your choice, which we'll make sure we get out to you before Christmas. So yeah, thank you to Keith, thank you so much to Sam as well, and thank you to you all for joining us today. Yeah, and for anybody that's missed the webinar, we're going to be posting on the website as well.